And welcome back. It's about 9:30 now. Finding a good remodeler or contractor to work on your home is always a challenge.
Even worse, there's always a chance you might hire what one criminal court judge called a serial thief.
Of the wood, there's cracks.
After Lisa Fairchild hired the Alamo Fence Company to redo her backyard in June, they built a wood enclosure with visible structural issues, a back gate that kind of opens, and a deck that will need to be redone.
Yeah, there's several issues.
Fairchild says she went to police after owner C. Renee Elizondo walked off the job without making repairs or completing the work. Fairchild's $5,400 contract with Elizondo, which she paid in full, included nearly $1,700 for new sod, none of which she's ever seen.
And it just continued on the excuse after excuse of not showing up or not coming to have any work done.
Fairchild joins a still growing list of people who hired C. Renee Elizondo then wish they hadn't. Right around the time they also discovered his first initial stands for Carlos, as in the same Carlos Elizondo who was sentenced to 4 years in jail after this reporter exposed him for the exact same scheme. When prosecutors moved to revoke his probation in late 2017 in 4 theft cases, Elizondo was infamously referred to by Judge Wayne Christian as the wolf who preys on the sheep of society.
You refuse to rehabilitate.
And investigative reporter Dylan Collier finds that since Elizondo was released from jail, he's racked up more consumers accusing him of walking away with their money. Dylan's here to talk about what he's uncovered. Good morning.
Dylan, good morning. You've actually been following the career of Carlos Elizondo for 5 years. How'd that start?
Well, Mark, the first time around, 2015 and then into 2016, he would pose as a police officer. He even named his company Law Enforcement Care Services, and he would use that to get clients to get into their homes and to get them to pay for fencing work that he would then abandon. The San Antonio Police Department assigned a detective to track him down. That detective was able to build 10 cases against Elizondo, and that resulted in a 4-year jail sentence. The problem is Elizondo, because of overcrowding issues, only served a little over a year of that sentence.
And Dylan, we understand that initially the police didn't want to get involved, but then that changed, right?
Yeah, there's always been the question, Stephanie, about whether or not this is a civil matter, because even though there were contracts in place for a lot of these jobs, Elizondo would do some work. He would show up and install fence posts. In some cases, he would take down the old fence that was there. So there was always that sort of line that police had to be able to get over to prove that this was actually a theft of services, that money was given to him for specific work that he would then not complete or even start in some cases.
So what have you found since Mr. Elizondo was released?
He got out in January 2019. He dropped Carlos from his business name and started going by his middle name, Renee Elizondo, and he also changed the name of his fencing company and started to use a name that is very similar, almost identical to an actual legitimate fencing company that has been in San Antonio since the early 1980s. And by doing that, he was able to get new clients and folks that weren't able to find out who he was until they did a little bit of research. But that was usually after he had already taken money from them and not completed work.
And there are a lot of victims. And Dylan, we understand you're still wanting to hear from other victims.
And we've heard from a lot since Tuesday night. If you have hired Elizondo in the last year and a half or so and had issues with the work that he did, we encourage you to email us at the email address that's on your screen, defenders@ksat.com. 3 jurisdictions are currently investigating Elizondo for what he's done since getting out of jail, and we are hoping to find more folks out there that may have hired him and had issues with him after that hiring took place.
Dylan, are we talking a handful of alleged victims, or could it wind up being dozens?
We're already up to about 24 families that have reached out to us and told us that there were issues. A lot of them have gone to police. A lot of them have wondered whether they're going to file something civil. And unfortunately, a lot of them have just hired someone else to come in and do the work that Elizondo did not do.
All right. Great work. Thank you, Dylan. His story is on ksat.com. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.